Thank you very much for being here.
Hey, thank you.
I was reading your book last night, and it's a very interesting piece of work you put together. You were born and reared, as they say in the Midwest.
Yes, reared.
And and you lived in a trailer, right?
Yeah.
And now, having grown up in a trailer, does you have any thoughts that affects a person one way or the other, as opposed to living in a stationary house?
Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody. Well, first of all, there's like trailer trash. You ever heard the term?
No. No.
Well, it's a kind of a fly-by-night connotation, and plus things like if your dad walks in the front door, right, and he closes the door, like the house shakes a little bit, you know. So it's kind of like, God is home or something. No, I didn't. Listen,
do they ever
listen, Dad? Wait a minute. No, it's. I don't know. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
At least it made me different.
Yeah. But but at the time, was it affecting you adversely with your peers, or it was no big deal?
Well, not with my peers, just with the PRI, et ceteras that I went to school with,
Oh, yeah. Now tell me about also.
But I kind of liked it because it was like ahead of its time,
Yeah.
My father's a visionary.
Do they still live in a house trailer?
No, they just sold it just a few months ago, and they've moved down to somewhere in the Carolinas.
Yeah. Now tell me about hurting yourself on stage and cutting yourself and then tossing yourself into the audience. Is that still?
Well, okay. Tom Snyder asked me about that. No, it didn't. It never did hurt. It's a funny thing about you get a good band, and you get them cooking, and if the beat's right and it's a good riff, nothing hurts. So it's sort of you're getting a bit of a state. I suppose it has to do with your adrenaline glands, but afterwards, that's the trouble. Sometimes it would be just the sort of thing like I had to get a new tooth for your show this morning. It was a real pain, because I didn't want to use Novocaine, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to enunciate, So, but that was just a sheer accident where I was getting so into it that I just smushed the mic in my tooth by mistake. But then other times, I'd sort of just fling myself at the audience because of their indifference.
Tell me. Oh, okay. Now, in the book, you described the first time you really started to cut yourself with drumsticks. You were drumming then, right?
Yeah.
And you were kind
of. I was singing by that time.
Okay. Yeah. Now, tell me about the time that the first time you made the decision to jump into the audience.
To cross the proscenium, as it were.
Yes.
Okay, there were three stages to that. The very first time I did it, it was the second gig I'd ever played in my life, and I opened up for Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, and I knew he was going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. And it was about 15 minutes into my set, and it was going nowhere. And so I thought, what am I going to do? Listen, there's like 15,000 bands here in the Detroit area, just one place to play, I got to stand out, right? So, just like a little kid, it's a bit hebephrenic of me. I just sort of went, have you ever seen when little kids don't get attention, and they just go like that and pretend they're going to fall on the floor? Well, I really did, and that created a stir.
Now, what did you land on? Did you just go right on over?
Well, it was funny. I'd planned to land on. I sort of spotted a pair of very plump young ladies, and it was my intention that they would be best suited to cushion the fall.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I didn't reckon. I figured they'd be lucky. They'd be lucky to have
part of the show. Sure.
Well, too. I mean, they weren't they weren't ravingly attractive or anything. So I figured, maybe they'd like some company, but instead they just the waves parted, and I walked to the gymnasium floor. So my illusion was shattered, and so was my tooth and my lip and everything. And the third time I got into it, it was just because the audience was such a bunch of Well, they were just so ignorant, as to the value of what we were doing. My band, the Stooges, at the
Yeah.
time, that it was a sort of a collegiate pseudo blues worship type audience in Boston, and I just decided I refused to be ignored like this, and then things started getting serious, and it became swan dives.
Have you ever really been injured badly, aside from a tooth here and there?
Not until recently on this tour. I got very very badly hurt in Edmonton. Where is it? Alberta, some
Canada.
outpost
Sure.
up
Yeah.
there, and it was sheerly accidental. It hurt my ankle really badly, but no, never through those sort of antics.
I want to ask you one question, and I know we don't have time to do it, so what'll I do? I'll just ask you anyway. Tell me about your relationship with David Bowie. He was an important part of your life, wasn't he? Or still
what's
is?
in his? What's
Yeah.
in his? Gee, what do you want to know?
Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll pause, we're going away, and then we'll come back and we'll let you think this over and talk more with Iggy Pop. Please here. This is a beautiful cover of this album. It's remarkable.
Thank you.
This
thank
is.
you.
Tell me about the where this was taken.
I was hanging out in Haiti, in a town called Jacmel, which is a sort of a very controversial section of the country, and it's extremely rural. And this was taken in a Haitian nightclub, during broad daylight, because they don't put roofs on the nightclubs generally. Yeah. And I was just out scouting. I had the title Zombie Birdhouse right already for the album, so I thought, well, if that's what it's called, I got to go back to Haiti and take some pictures.
Beautiful colors in this.
So I just went out scouting for the most beautiful nightclub I could find.
Yeah. I mentioned David
Back
Bowie.
to David, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I met him. I was out of work in 1970, 12 years ago or so. I'd been dumped for the, I think the second of what's now the umpteenth time by some record company or the other. And I was in New York, sort of scrounging around, looking for a gig, And he was in town, and what turned out to be an admirer of my work. And I met him in a bar, down at Max's, and he invited me for breakfast the next morning, and I ate about four mounds of breakfast because I was real hungry, and just we sort of hit it off. So
aside from being unemployed, was this a bad time in your life generally? I mean, were you?
Oh, one of many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the usual. It's discouraging to sound different. Because I'm not different, but my music sounds a bit different.
Yeah. Were you abusing yourself in other ways? Maybe
yes.
maybe a little too much fun occasionally.
Oh, it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
No. So anyway, but aside from that, no. But I was, I was together enough to seek work, and so we discussed going to England and making an album, which turned out to be Raw Power.
Yeah.
Which was sort of like this, just sort of unleashing this incredibly tense and band called the Stooges from Detroit. He sort of unleashed us for an album.
Yeah.
Helped us out. Basically, just not so much artistically on that one, as much as just having the sense to sell his manager on me. And
Let me ask you one more question, Iggy. You play golf, don't you?
yes. Wait.
Now-
Let's get. Sorry, you asked me. Anyway, since
I'm sorry.
since then, since then he became my mentor to an extent, and I'd influenced him equally musically, and we have enjoyed a very fruitful intellectual relationship for years.
Now, may I ask you about your golf?
Yeah.
Now, I would bet if you asked people on the street, they would probably not pick you, Tom Watson, Iggy Pop. It doesn't.
Right. I know. Well, I've tried to. I keep trying to tell people I play, because
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to, come off as some unbalanced character. I mean, I play.
You play
golf.
pretty well, right?
I used to play pretty well. I had a 4 or 5 handicap when I was much younger, like 18 to 20. I practically lived on the course, and now I play like a good solid 8 weeks out of the year with my father. I go down and just just shoot golf for a few weeks whenever usually whenever I'm just off a tour because I'm generally like,
Yeah.
just wiped and golf is golf's something for us to do together. And I get really off on the controlled power of it. I don't know if you play, but like, you just hit this little tiny ball and you can hit it like, it's no problem for me to like hit that exit sign like at least 6 out of 20
Well,
times.
let's do
on
that
the
then.
fly.
The hell with it. Let's get a bucket of balls in here and a
Okay,
couple
we
of
got any
3 woods.
left-handed clubs. No, really, and it's just a tremendous feeling
Yeah.
to it. I like the control, the precision, and the feeling of power to like take only 4 strokes to put a ball in a 4-inch.
Yeah, but
cup.
do you ever bounce one off your ankle? Did you ever do that? I mean, you wind up and then kaboom, right off your ankle. Pretty uncomfortable.
I've bounced them off a few other people. Yeah.
It was. I'm really happy that you had the time to come by here. It was a
Same
pleasure
here,
meeting you.
yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Iggy Pop, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
Nice conversation.
Thank you. We'll be right back with Bob Nelson.